wake up.
This is a brand new episode of Wake Up Bright
Wake up.
with your workout buddies, April and sometimes Yenna. Your hit podcast, your much needed hit of encouragement, empowerment, and motivation to live and grow each day a little brighter.
Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to Wake Up Bright, our podcast. I'm April, Lauren, April, whatever.
And I'm Yenna. Welcome. I don't know what this hand thing is, but it's here.
Well, we were having a pretty intense conversation about scheduling appointments right before this. So it's like we're starting and like I want so bad to be like in a happy mood, but I'm like, it's like, yeah, anyway. Moving on. So we're going to make this one short and sweet, or try to at least. We're talking about guidepost number 4, which is cultivating gratitude and joy. Letting go of scarcity and fear of the dark, which I think is really cool.
We definitely need some lightness in this darkness.
That's what I was thinking. Well, that's why I kind of laughed. So like right before I pressed record, like she's like, let's record this. And I looked down at the guidepost because I read this a few days ago. Well, like last week. But I just kind of laughed because I'm like, of course it's joy. I am like the antithesis of joy right now.
We are both just, well, obviously I'm exaggerating because that's what we do, but we are both raging.
I don't know. That's pretty accurate for me. That's pretty accurate for me right now.
I'm in such a bad mood too, so 2 peas in a pod. Yeah. This is probably pretty fitting. So
I feel like that's typically us though. I feel like that's probably one reason why we made such good friends, because our like emotions, I feel like we're on the same roller coaster.
We're on the same crazy roller coaster. It just keeps going.
Yeah. Okay. So she talks about like collection of concepts and stuff. And so that she's going to talk about that, but she's like, now, in order to understand, why can't I speak? Now, I understand that in order to feel a true sense of belonging, I need to bring the real me to the table. And I can only do that if I'm practicing self-love. I always thought that joyful people were grateful people. I mean, why wouldn't they be? They all have that goodness to be grateful for. But after spending countless hours collecting stories about joy and gratitude, these powerful patterns emerged. Without exception, every person I interviewed who described living a joyful life or described themselves as joyful actively practiced gratitude and attributed their joyfulness to their gratitude practice. Both joy and gratitude were described as spiritual practices that were bound to a belief of human interconnectedness and a power greater than us. People were quick to point out differences between happiness and joy as the difference between a human emotion that's connected to circumstances and a spiritual way of engaging with the world that's connected to practicing gratitude. When it comes to gratitude, the word that jumped out at me through this research process is practice. And
practice makes perfect.
It does. Well, and I mean, it's something to remind ourselves of. Like, there's always so many things to be grateful for, but not discount our reality too. So this is kind of just the writing of the text. I don't remember thinking this when I very first read, so it must have flowed naturally. Nope, it didn't. The first part doesn't set the chapter up very well for me. But this is the first time I think that's happened. Now, what she's saying and what her research findings were is still awesome, but it's not quite as like flowy, I feel like, as their other chapters. Or maybe it's just maybe it's just my rage.
Maybe it's just today when we are just raging.
Yeah. Maybe it's because she's talking about the joy and gratitude, and right now I'm just kind of a brat in my head. Let's see. So she goes, what does practice look like? The folks I interviewed talked about keeping gratitude journals, doing daily gratitude meditations or prayers, creating gratitude art, and even stopping during their stressful, busy days to actually say these words aloud. I am grateful for. When the wholehearted talk about gratitude, there are a whole bunch of verbs involved. It seemed like gratitude without practice may be a little like faith without works. It's not alive.
Interesting. I don't know, metaphor? I don't know, interesting way of putting it, I guess.
Well, like the thing about faith, because we talk about that a lot, like in my specific faith. Also, the attitude of gratitude we talk a lot about, because I don't know if it was somebody quoting someone, but it's just something that approaching life with an attitude of gratitude, I think it's just semantics and the way what she's saying. And she's like, I used to believe attitude of gratitude, but now I believe practice of gratitude. And I'm like, I kind of think that's the same thing. But
well, I guess it's just the same thing, but said in a different way.
Yeah.
But like when she mentioned those gratitude journals, like, I ain't got time for that. I do not have time for that. I barely have time for myself. Well, I don't have time for myself. Yeah. I don't have time to write anything down. And I don't think even if it's an app, I feel like I won't have time for it.
I feel like gratitude is generally like my solution. When I feel, even like on days today where I feel like so like earlier I was talking to Yenna about scheduling this appointment and I got very agitated because the person was very unhelpful. So I'll just talk about it. I need to schedule the HSG. I've talked about it on my channel. It's for fertility. You have to take it in certain days of your cycle. So I call because I'm starting my period. I can already feel it. Tomorrow it will be full blown like happening. And so I called. And the doctor didn't say I had to call on the first day of my period. And the lady's like, after waiting on hold for like an hour, the lady's like, you need to call on the first day of your period. And I'm like, okay, that's probably today or tomorrow. And then she's like, we have no open appointments for you. And she was just so unhelpful. Anyway, so I get off the phone with her. So unhelpful. Like the only time she sounded pleasant was when she was giving me like the news. She's like, oh, well, great. We actually can't help you. And I'm just like, yeah, why are people this way?
It's making me angry too. This reminds me of my appointment. So like I usually do not have bad things to say about military doctors. I've had pretty good experiences so far. But today is not the day for that.
We're in pain. Watching you talk about it is like how I feel about talking about it. It's like a painful. Well, because I just feel like the things are so simple. Like, okay, I understand there's a process and I'm totally on board with following your process, but I need to know what that process is. And no one's told me. And clearly you know it and clearly I don't. So I just need you to lay it out. So you have no appointments for me. What does that mean?
Yeah, like what next?
Like, give me the next. Like, okay, I need to call back next month. Okay, I need to go to my PCM and see if I can get a referral out. Like, what do I need to do? It's just, anyway. So all of this goes back to gratitude because I got off the phone and I was just like so frustrated and I got pretty upset in my head as I went about the next.
As we always like to exaggerate things and be so dramatic.
Well, I think I like rage cleaned our kitchen really fast. I was like, but at least the kitchen's really clean, so that's nice.
Rage cleaning is the thing to do.
But yeah, but then I was like, I am so grateful for the insurance and the medical care that we cover. And like you said, for the most part, my experience, like I love my doctor. Like here, the doctor, it's through the military stuff. And he's one of like already I've had a few appointments with him and he like the way he communicates with me, the way he treats me, like he's one of my favorite doctors I think that I've had. I've had a few amazing ones too, but usually they're nurse practitioners. Usually I favor nurse practitioners and he's an MD.
I usually get the PAs. And I had a really good one in Missouri. I really liked her. Now I met my one here. And I am not impressed. She was trying to ask me how to do her job So I'm kind of confused. So now I have to call back and to make sure that she did her job. Or maybe I need to Google how to do her job and do it for her, come in with printouts and explain it to her. I don't know. So
I'd be like, actually, I've done some research. I've called around your office. These are the steps you need to take to order.
That's another thing with this hospital here, this whatever. They are so unorganized. They have no idea what the person next to them is doing or what the standards are, or like nobody knows anything. Everything is just whoever you ask, the answer is always different. So that's making me extremely frustrated. That's actually what we were doing on the Strong Bonds event that we were this weekend. We were talking about different personalities, and obviously I'm control country or whatever the flagship thing was that we did. So that makes my life a little bit harder sometimes, because I love structure, I love rules, and I like people following the rules. And then when there's clearly no rules or no structure or any standards of that hospital, it drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And I want to go and fix it.
I wonder if they'll do the same stuff if we get to go to the Strong Bonds. I don't think we're going to get to go, but
hopefully you will. This one was a little bit underwhelming because we brushed off, like we didn't go through the personality traits and stuff as thoroughly as I would have liked. We were kind of in a rush, but other than that, it was okay. I've done one through USO there, and I liked that one a lot. That was at Fort Bragg. So
I mean, there are so many wonderful things, like so many amazing blessings that we get because our husbands are in the military.
Absolutely.
That we get. So Strong Bonds, what she's talking about, it's where the military essentially pays for, right? We don't pay anything out of pocket.
Yes, it was a weekend provided. I think it's through the church or the chaplain. They have a fund for that's specifically what Strong Bonds is. So you get to stay in a hotel. It's usually a nice hotel. Or some people say that they've been in a resort before. So, and then they have childcare for all the day. So you usually go there on Friday and you leave Sunday, and there's childcare for free. And then they feed you, feed you too. So that's pretty nice. Even with the USO one that we did, we got the hotel room and they had food there. The childcare at the USO one only had limited spots, but we didn't have a child then, so we didn't really look into it that much. But there's really so many great, amazing things.
Yeah, because you get to go. So it's in order to strengthen bonds and relationships, which is really important for military families, especially since our spouses are typically gone so much. Sometimes communication, it's like it's not even that you have to relearn communication when your spouse deploys and things like that are gone for long, long periods of time. Like life moves. And so you're different people by the time your spouse returns, at least in some micro level. And you have to
just because the nature of the job, being a soldier is a selfish job when you think about the family, because we kind of have to just go along with whatever their job says. It's not like, sure, we didn't sign any papers or anything. We have not signed in to be part of the military, but our husbands did, and the government pretty much owns them. So if they say jump, and they'll have to ask how high, and we just unfortunately have to follow it. So I'm extremely grateful that we have these opportunities. So we have these events to try to build our relationship better, like, make it better, make it stronger. And that we have this amazing insurance system. But sometimes, there's bad apples everywhere.
Well, and I just want to, and you can be like, no, actually, I did mean that. But I want to expound a little bit on the selfish part. Like, we don't think our spouses are selfish, but they are legally, contractually required to put the Army and the military and the needs of state above the family, which makes family secondary, which just makes it's a hard thing. And then you also they're supposed to communicate well, and we're supposed to communicate with them, but often information is limited. So
exactly. And often they're not told about their assignments or anything beforehand. It might be he comes home from work, hey, I'm leaving tonight or I'm leaving tomorrow. type of situation. So yeah, it's not like they're not selfish. It's just the nature of the job is what I meant.
Yeah, that's good. And that's what I knew that's what you meant, but I also didn't want to
clear,
like, I know exactly
what for everyone. That's what I meant. But yeah.
So, and then that's why, I mean, I like that they call it strong bonds. I think it's perfect because I mean, it's obvious, like it has to be that way for military. It has to be the military, and that job comes first. And there's a lot of jobs like that. So I'm so grateful that they do offer things, like parenting courses, and they offer so much. There's so many amazing things that
there's so many resources, especially if you are a for brag. That is a gigantic base, and they are really good at offering a lot of stuff for families and for stay-at-home parents. I think I went to two different baby showers when I was at Bragg because they had those available through the USO, and so many different events through the USO. And what they offer and what they provide, you get discounted tickets, you get free tickets to NASCAR. I think we weren't able to go. We got our son's crib and a mattress for free from USO because they had an event with the Delta children, and I think it's like an annual thing too. So there's a bunch of stuff, bunch of resources, and I wish more military spouses would know about them.
I think for the rest of this podcast, I don't want to do any more from the book. I think just kind of focusing just for a few more minutes because we're kind of running out of time.
I went off tracks.
Yeah. Well, and I was flipping through and I'm like, I think it's one of those things. I said I was having a hard time, like it wasn't flowing from immediate, but I think as a whole, the chapter is really awesome. But it's like she gives you like the A piece, the B piece, the C, so you have to like flow through it. And since I didn't pre-read immediately right before talking, like I can't. When I read it, I thought it was really impactful.
But we would have had to make some notes too.
Yeah,
so to decipher that.
Yeah, especially since I read it like last week, so I was definitely doing it a disservice going over it. I think it's probably obvious too. Yesterday, I was like, "Oh, I wrote an OMG out beside this. I wonder why."
Yeah, but then when you read it, I'm like, "Oh, now I know what you meant." But I don't know if it was clear to the listeners, but we can read each other pretty well. I feel like we agree on a lot. So I thought it was funny.
That's true. And I think just talking about gratitude, I think that looking for a bright side and being grateful sometimes is like that, looking for a bright or a positive side. It's not toxic. It's not dismissing or discounting the bad things that happen to you, but there are things that we can always be grateful for. And the gratefulness, I think, allows us to have our hopeless and hope. It allows us to have our hope for better things to come, if that makes sense. Without gratitude, it's kind of like a hopeless thing. Like if everything is just so awful and there's absolutely nothing, then it's hopeless. But
what's the point then if you cannot see like the good things?
Yeah.
Like I do. And now when we were talking about all the good things that the military offers, whatever, I feel like it made me feel a little bit better and less angry. I'm like, yeah, that's not a good thing. I guess, whatever. Like, fine.
Really
like,
good point. I kind of feel the same. Like I feel a little bit calmer, which is good. Because I mean, it is really easy, especially I think for me, what really, okay, for one, what sends me in the type of mood I'm in right now is my period. But two is lack of control, kind of like what you were saying about the personality type. Like I like structure and I like this, and I'm like, tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. Like, tell me what I need.
It is pretty interesting. Like it was called Flag Post or something. And it gave you country. There was control country, peace country, fun country, and perfect country. And me and my husband were both control country, which is not surprising. And that's probably why we have the issues that we have.
I wonder if it's like the color test, because I surprised myself. So one thing to know about me is typically when I take personality assessments, there's generally one thing that I am not none of, but all of the other things I'm generally like split almost evenly. Even on tests where they're like, you shouldn't be split almost evenly. You should be like overwhelmingly
always all over the place.
Yeah. I'm always like 30, 31, 30, like they're very close. But I took
We
this.
did the color thing. I think that's what we did the USO, I think. I'll let you tell me what it is so I can say if it was the same thing.
I can't remember all of the colors at this point. I just remember there was one that I was 0 of. It was probably the peace one. I don't know. Let me look it up. If you want to talk about the ones you did.
We did the USO one. We went through, there were like colors. There was like blue, green, gold, and whatever, yellow type of thing. And at that test, me and my husband were different ones, supposedly. But I don't know if he paid attention. Like if he did, like we did that test we actually did on the sessions or the lectures during that time. So I feel like people focused a little bit more while doing that. And then we were divided on groups based on that. And we did some work and stuff. But I don't know what it was called. I cannot remember. I do have the papers or like the material still somewhere. I do not have the flag post material because somebody stole our books. They were gone. So.
Okay. So it's the color code is what the one that I'm talking about is.
I need to Google that too now.
Yeah. So the color code it's a book by Taylor Hartman, and red are the power welders. Power, the ability to move from point A to point B and get things done, is what motivates and drives these people. Blue are the do-gooders, intimacy, connecting, creating quality relationships, and having purpose. White are the peacekeepers. Peace, the ability to stay calm and balanced even in the midst of conflict. And then yellow are the fun lovers. Fun, the joy of living life in the moment, is what motivates and drives these people. So I think I was yellow and I was either red or blue. I don't remember. And the white, I think. I just needed to retake the test. But I actually had like a slightly stronger yellow. And I remember being so like I was like, that is not me. I am not fun loving at all. But I think things happen to us in our life that makes us
molds us.
Yeah, it makes us hold on to different qualities or protect ourselves. And one thing, I think we were talking about this yesterday, I struggle sometimes to like share excitement. Like, I don't mean saying it because I can say it fine, but like actually like it's sometimes hard. It's all I'm so inward about the happy.
All right. So the one that I did with the USO, I think it was called True Colors. Is that what that was called? It was green, blue, yellow, and orange. And I think either it was, I don't know which color. One color was that, they're organized, kind of, but they're like chaotically organized. Like if they're going to, they want to travel somewhere from place A to B, they're going to find a bunch of things they want to see that are nowhere near the route that would be like the fastest or the straightest. So they're going to be all over the place. And then one of the personalities would go just like straight through, and there were like a bunch of different things. But yeah, these are interesting. And I feel like you said too, that I'm all over the place every time I do these tests, because I don't know if this is a woman thing or if this is some other personality type that is not recorded in these things, because I know there's like, you're the same one, I'm the same one. And then a couple people that I talked to at the Strong Bonds felt the same way, because I feel like my answer depends on like, how am I looking at the situation? Depends on like, what would you say? Well, it depends on the person who I would be speaking to, or the situation. Like everything depends on the situation where like, so it's super hard for me to sometimes answer the questions like, if you ran out of gas, what would you do type of thing? Like, I don't know. It depends on the situation. Where am I? What's around me type of thing.
Yeah.
Like I can't give a solid answer from just not knowing the
That goes into our overthinking that we do.
Probably. Well, not probably. It is exactly what it is.
What is the context?
Right.
Okay,
I always need the context.
You gave me that context, but what is the weather like in this situation?
Right. I feel like, I don't know if it's a thing that we are, I don't know if it's a sign that our boundaries are bad or that we are good with people or what the heck that is. Good at reading people. And that's why we mold, like we're trying to get along better by changing how we act on a situation. And that's why our personality traits over the things, because we get along with a lot of people, different people, and we are trying to understand different people, meaning we have different types of answers, you know?
I think for us, it's that we have a lot of varying interests. We are okay with people hating things that we're completely interested in. Mm-hmm. And see when other people love things or see value in it, then we can almost see that love and value through them. And then it's still, at least that's how I feel. Like if I don't care anything about baseball, for instance, but you love baseball and you're telling me like, I will get caught up in your passion for baseball. I'm not going to try and make you think that I love baseball too.
Right. But I'll be interested all of a sudden, like, oh, tell me more.
Yeah. Because I will like that you're so interested in it and I'll want to hear more and I'll want to know more about why you think that, just because I think we're curious about people and we care about people more than being some rigid way, maybe. I don't know. But I feel like with us, like there are so many things where you and I can see things 100% oppositely and still be on the same page, like still see it. Like there's still so much overlap. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Let me know, listeners, let me know what you guys think, or let us know if you have anything to add to our little analysis or speculation of personalities.
Yeah.
I love the personality tests, but at the same time, I get very frustrated with the questions sometimes. I'm like, I don't know. Depends on the situation. I need context.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to hear from you guys if you take how much weight you put into personality test. Cause like sometimes like you'll like work, especially like corporate summits, they'll like be trying to restructure the way departments work based off of like how much merit do you put on that? And do you find if you're taking a personality test, does it start to change the way you see yourself? If it's different than how you see yourself, if you take a personality test and you get different results, does it change the way you see yourself, or do you feel the test is invalid?
Right. I was just thinking that I feel like when I was looking at the flag post, whatever, it had like little explanations like, oh, this is how this personality is at their best and at their worst. And I was looking at the at their worst part, and I could see myself in a bunch of those different countries. And I was wondering how many people can admit to themselves that they have those bad qualities. Because I feel like maybe 6 years back, I probably would be like, well, that's not me trying to be, because that I would have been probably getting defensive about it, thinking that it's somehow bad. Like every single person has some sort of so-called bad qualities. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but like when you get frustrated, when you get angry, when you're upset, like how you behave and whatever, like how many people can actually admit to themselves that they behave a certain way, you know?
I'm not patting us on the back with what I'm about to say or anything, but I think that that's something else that we have in common. Is I feel like we're very comfortable with our inadequacies. Maybe that's the way to put it. Like if I'm doing something wrong, like I want someone to tell me that it's wrong and their opinion on what's right. And if it's like a process, so like let's say we're at work and we're working, if there's a process for doing it, even if it's not the way I would do it, I'm going to respect the process and do it the way.
Right. Like I want to see the logic behind the other plan that would not be, my plan. I feel like I did a lot of.
I always think it's easier for me to see the negative in myself too, which I bet that's probably pretty common, because like I could identify a lot more with the negative aspects, I think, than positive because I'd be like, well, I'm a little bit bossy because I'm, not just because I'm the oldest, it's just kind of like my personality, and I'm extraordinarily hard-headed. And I hate that my instant reaction to most things is no, when I really mean yes. Like, I'm like, no, but then I'm like, wait, yes, I really want to do that. But it's like my instant response to things is to close or say no, even though I think part of me is very open, which is interesting. But I don't know. I guess I don't need to go into all of these details about myself, about my shortcomings.
But I was about to say that when I moved to the US and I was bored at home because I didn't have anything to do when my husband was at work, I started attending a bunch of these USO stuff that Fort Bragg had, all these events for spouses. And I feel like that, and of course, moving to a different country, that was my second time moving to a different country. And that had already shaped me a lot and opened my mind a lot. So I went to these events, and there were usually a bunch of like lectures and like personality things and all kinds of stuff. And it was more, I was doing a lot of self-reflection, I guess that's the word. And like trying to understand myself, my spouse, and like how people behave just based on those lectures that the events had. And they were really helpful, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's just it is super interesting to me.
Yeah, I think that is interesting. Because I think the same with you. Like maybe you don't have that instant like no, but I feel like you're typically open to things, regardless of how it seems. Like you're very open to different new things.
I feel like I was very uptight before I moved the first time. I never wanted anyone in my house because I don't know, I wanted to keep it mine, I guess. I don't know what was that about. Even though it was clean or whatever, it felt uncomfortable. And just, I don't know. And then I moved to another country to do my bachelor's degree. And all of a sudden, everybody was always at my house, pre-gaming and doing whatever. And somehow it didn't bother me at all. So a lot of changes has happened, like a lot of change in the past.
Yeah, because I was about to say, like, I've never felt that with you, like, as far as you not wanting people in your space. Like, you've always been very comfortable. At least I think you are. Maybe you're not. And I'm just like,
I do enjoy hosting stuff now, which is kind of weird because I feel like before I moved, it feels so long ago, but that was 2015. So it's not like an eternity ago.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah.
I have changed a lot.
Well, I think to wrap this up, I don't know how to tie all of this together. So I'm just not.
Well, I think this is just a perfect example of how chaotic we can sometimes be with our, we just go all over the place. And I really hope that at least one person enjoys listening to our rambles.
The cool thing I think about this is like, I started and I was in such a bad mood, and now I'm not in a bad mood anymore.
Same. I'm in such way better mood. And I feel like my day can now continue as a normal day and without being just grumpy butt.
So yeah. So come back tomorrow for some encouragement. Right. Talking about the gifts of imperfection. I hope that you enjoyed today and are just a very random, but
helpful to us.
Helpful to us. Chit chat, rant. We love you guys, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.